So we are now live, right? Miss Vice Chair? Oh, nice. Michelle's coming down. Shannon's coming down. All right, so it is 6:35 on this Wednesday. Oh, somebody took it. Oh, no, they didn't. Wednesday, February 18th. The time is currently 6:36. I call this meeting of the Community Development Advisory Committee to order. All right, so let's start things off with our attendance, and we'll start things up with Deborah. She's up in the back. Can we get a new mic up to Deborah?
John Brunza, mayoral appointee.
Raising Ambler, District 1.
Marianne Callahan, mayoral appointee.
Michelle O'Loughlin, member at large.
Marilyn Austin, District 6.
Gordon Trice, 5th District.
And I'm Justin McGregor, representing the 7th District, the chair of the CDAC. All right, so on this Wednesday, February 18th, we have our department presentations, but first we need to have a look at our minutes. So board, do anyone have any, I know it was sent to you in email. Did you get a chance to look at it? Is there anything you would like to change? If not, do we have a motion to accept as is? All right, we have a motion to accept as is. Do we have a second?
Second.
Michelle seconds. All in favor? Opposed? Abstained? Hearing none, it's carried unanimously. All right. So our 6:35 presentation is BLDC. Good evening.
Hello, thanks for having me.
No problem.
And thanks as always for accommodating my class. I teach on Wednesday nights in the spring, and this is always a fun one to be able to bring them into City Hall, and their comments when they entered City Council chambers were quite amusing. So it's nice to bring people into the fold for the first time.
Perfect. Welcome.
Thanks. Were the sheets distributed? Did everybody have a chance to review, or do you want me to go through the sheet? I'm happy to. I just don't want to duplicate if you guys have already read all that.
Feel free to duplicate whatever you'd like.
Okay. So for any folks who do not know, the Binghamton Local Development Corporation is a 501c3 nonprofit corporation. It's a blended component of city government by virtue of my role as Director of Economic Development of the City of Binghamton. And I apologize, my name is Sarah Glose. Some of you have met me before, but not all of you, so I apologize for jumping in. I am also the Executive Director of the Local Development Corporation. We don't use a ton of CDBG funds, at least not in the last fiscal year. We have in previous fiscal years used more, just kind of depends on the ebbs and flows of particularly our loan making. But the primary function of the Local Development Corporation is just to act as a flexible economic development body. Our primary activity is to provide loans, low interest and flexible loans for investment in businesses, job creation. We've also run a couple of specialized programs over the last couple of years. Again, not necessarily using community development block grant funding, but generally managed an allocation of ARPA funds for a facade program in downtown Binghamton and Binghamton at large, which is wrapping up this year with the completion of our ARPA allocation at the City of Binghamton. We primarily use CDBG funds for salary reimbursements for eligible activities. So every pay period, everyone in the Economic Development Office codes a certain number of their hours to specific CDBG eligible activities, planning, business support. And then on the HUD side of the house and Shannon's team, they review our business logs to determine what percentage of our business support activities are CDBG eligible, generally located in or serving a low to moderate income community, but can also be employing low to moderate income folks or serving low to moderate income customers. So that's kind of how it gets coded on the back end. And then there's a salary reimbursement through community development block grant funding. The other primary way that we use CDBG is through what's known as our restricted loan fund. We have a couple of different loan funds that have different eligibility and regulatory requirements. So the funds that we have through community development block grant, those are generally what we use for our job creation projects. In the last year, we have not had any loans approved. Part of that is just it's been kind of a dicey business environment. We haven't seen a lot of businesses that want to make huge investments in their businesses. We're starting to see folks kind of trickle in and be interested. And I also think as the rates drop at the federal level for traditional loans, that we'll probably see some more people come in. We do not fund 100% of the ask from individuals. We like to come in as part of a larger package. It usually makes the traditional lenders more comfortable making the loans, helps the borrower gain credit through like an actual banking institution. But if we're coming in at 40% of a total loan product, that's still that 40 to 50% plus equity, and that 40 to 50% being at 8% interest. It's just not a super compelling time to be borrowing money. But we're hoping to see that tick up in the last year. In our last fiscal year, we did not have this, but this will be in this current fiscal year. We initiated a micro enterprise grant program. So the state of New York, using their community development block grant money, provides micro enterprise grants across the state. It's 5 or fewer employees, very small amounts of money. We duplicated their process at the local level to try to get small dollar allocations out, kind of in lieu of and while we were trying to build the capacity for actual loans. So we made one of those. Again, it was in this current fiscal year, so it's not represented in the last fiscal year. And we're looking to make use of those funds more as we move forward. And really just those are as folks need them, they come to us. We have a conversation about what their needs are, how it fits into the regulatory framework of the program, and then we're able to allocate those dollars in a pretty flexible way to support businesses in the city of Binghamton. So I can stop, I can take questions, I can keep talking. Happy to do whatever.
Do we have any questions for Sarah?
I have one little question. Can you give us an example, if there is one, of CDBG funds that have been used for the DRI project for the Clinton Street revitalization?
Yeah, so I don't remember if this was specifically community development block grant funding, although it would have been eligible for it. So for those who aren't familiar, in 2025, the City of Binghamton was a recipient of New York State's Downtown Revitalization Initiative. It's a $10 million grant allocation that is given to one community in each economic development region of New York State every year. And so Binghamton was successful in the last round of funding for our Clinton Street Neighborhood Business District. But how we got there was that we spent about $100,000 out of the Local Development Corporation funds to develop the Clinton Street Neighborhood Business District Plan and an associated DRI application. And so by building that, we were able to talk to community members, do significant community outreach, and really develop a plan that was reflective of what the Clinton Street Neighborhood Business District wanted to see. Once we were the recipients of the funds, the state stepped in and they funded an additional community engagement and outreach effort to build what's known as a strategic investment plan. So that was submitted to New York State in late 2025. They are currently reviewing that plan. It includes a request for about $13 million in grant funds. So New York State will now look to cut that down to about $9.7 million of funds that will then be allocated in our community. So at this point, we have not spent those CDBG funds in the Clinton Street area. But the City of Binghamton did apply for a couple of different projects that could potentially be CDBG eligible. We are going to look to use other funding sources prior to that, other New York State and federal grants. As an example, the Clinton Street corridor itself, the actual streetscape improvements, we applied for funds through the DRI for that. We're optimistic that we'll be successful in getting those, but there's still a significant amount of money on top of the roughly $2 million that we asked for that project in order to get it across the finish line. So we're currently putting together a federal TAP grant, Transportation Alternatives Program, I believe that's what that stands for, to fill out the rest of the money. We had applied for some additional funds from New York State last year that we were not successful in getting. So now we're trying to fill in that gap. Worst case scenario, we'll scale that project back a little bit, maybe do a smaller section of the street, or maybe do we won't do the green infrastructure in the first phase, but we'll do it as part of a future phase. So it really just depends on how the cost of construction continues to go. I don't think it's going down. So hopefully it's just not going up an astronomical amount. But we're optimistic. It's a pretty good project for that TAP money. So we're optimistic the federal government will fund that, and that will give us all of the funds we need to do that project, and we won't need to use a CDBG allocation. But we appreciate that these funds are potentially available to support things like streetscape and transportation improvements in a neighborhood like Clinton Street.
Go ahead.
Sarah, welcome. Thank you. Welcome to our BU students. Please consider Binghamton after graduation for any entrepreneurial endeavors. We would welcome that. Sarah, what can your group do, or departments within City Hall? What ways can we entice businesses or to educate them that these funds are available to make a traditional lending institution snap for their particular business, or even the new housing endeavors that are coming down the pike?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I hate to have my back to you, so I apologize. A lot of opportunities like this are a great way that we can do that. Just educating all of you folks who are then active in your communities and can advocate for folks to reach out to us. One thing I've been saying for a number of years is that we are an intake office, so people tend to call us with problems or are redirected from other places. We did add an additional staff member in 2024, had some turnover between 2024 and 2025, have a new person in that role. He spent a lot of his first year working on all things DRI, but we're excited as we move forward to have him as more of a forward-facing out in the community, kind of talking about our programs. He loves to be out on the street talking to businesses. It's kind of his bread and butter. So a lot of it's on us a little bit to be advertising ourselves and selling ourselves a little bit better. We are very fortunate that we have some awesome, to your point, great BU grad turned entrepreneur types who are able to also advocate for how the local development corporation and the city of Binghamton at large have helped them be successful. I'm sure many of you are familiar with Claw Industries, Jacob Kumpan's company. They've used every BLDC and City of Binghamton and Broome County product that is available. They're a great example of how you can use the entrepreneurial ecosystem in our community and how it really works if you work that system. So yeah, anything that you folks can do to help amplify that story, and any information that we can give you to help you do that, we're happy to. I have a copy of our 2024-2025 annual report, but it is not the pretty version. That will come out in a few months. We put together the bare bones version to meet our regulatory guidelines, and then we developed the prettier version over a period of time after that. Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may, Sarah, on the Clinton Street Revitalization Project, I was part of the local planning commission, and I cannot imagine a person who has a greater depth of knowledge and a broader base and is able to communicate. We are very fortunate to have her. Thank you.
Thank you, Marianne. And I will also point out that Mackenzie Cooper, who is one of my students, was also on the LPC, and she's here tonight. So if I will happily answer any questions, but I do, just to the point of housing. The local development corporation doesn't get super involved in housing. It's not totally aligned with our defined mission. And so we try not to step too far outside of what our authorization is. But the Office of Economic Development at large does a lot of work on housing. The thing that we found to be really successful over the past couple of years, we were primarily using ARPA funds and some state grants to do this, is just de-risking housing projects on the front end. So that's things like environmental testing to ensure that something either isn't contaminated or maybe that we know what the contaminants are, so we know how to build a budget around remediation. Things like helping people do some of the planning and zoning work on the front end, those areas that can often trip up a housing project. And so a developer may say, I don't really want to spend $50,000 developing a set of plans to then go in front of a planning or zoning body to then have that not work out. So in addition to the technical assistance that the planning department and the City of Binghamton provides in helping people understand how to potentially modify their projects to meet zoning regulations, or, you know, hey, if you need a variance, here's kind of what you would need to ask for. It's 5 additional feet. Obviously, independent commissions that make those decisions, but we try to help people be as prepared as possible when they go in front of those commissions. But on the monetary side, we've seen a lot of success in just taking away any excuse for someone to say no early on in the process. Building housing is not for the faint of heart, and the developers that do it, especially in the affordable housing space, yes, there is money to be made, but it is not easy money to make. And there's a lot of regulatory burden on these developers. I was recently talking to a housing provider who is actually currently looking at buying. They have an option for a local development corporation property on the north side. And they let me know that they were getting some quotes back that were going to be 40 to 50% higher than they expected on their project due to some regulations and combustibility in the property. Now, that's really important, right? We would like these properties not to have any sort of fire risk, but that's a significant amount of money that they are going to have to build into their budget now. So we always try to figure out how can we help people on the front end make those investments and get far enough down the path that they've got certain regulatory approvals in place. They know how to access all of the additional funds that may be out there. With ARPA now sunsetting, I could see CDBG being a tool for that. Again, not necessarily through the local development corporation, but just something to kind of have people's thinking caps on that we've had success with in the last 4 years.
All right. Any other questions for Sarah? No?
If that were to happen, you would come in and help us with that, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Housing's my favorite part of my job,
Okay.
I will say.
Thank-
It's been a rewarding and fun challenge. I will, if anybody is around tomorrow, the 200 court, Confluence Court, Helio CSD housing project is having its ribbon cutting tomorrow, which is very exciting. They were recipients of a Building BC award for the rehabilitation of the old sheltered workshop on Court Street into supportive affordable housing for folks that are recovering from substance use disorder and experiencing mental health issues, as well as a small set aside for service disabled veterans. Really great project. We're looking forward to celebrating with all of those folks. I know they have a resident who's going to be speaking as well, which I'm excited to hear from.
And that building looks great.
That's
It's really cleaned up, that neighborhood. Yes, Michelle.
Hi, Sarah, I was wondering, you mentioned, I think in the beginning that there are some funds that have not been spent yet. So is there a timeliness
yes.
component to that?
Yes. So the funds that are in our restricted account do count towards timeliness. That's one of the reasons that we added the micro enterprise grant in the last year, is we want to have a little bit more flexibility in spending that down. We struggle with it because we want those funds to be available and we want them to be kind of in our fund so that when someone comes to us with a great idea and needs $200,000 in loans, that's money that we have on hand. But we're always working that through with the HUD team to figure out how much can we reasonably keep in here? How is that impacting timeliness? And a lot of times we look at other funds to be spent first, but we are always open to those conversations about how we can best contribute to meeting the timeliness requirements of the funds. Yeah, thank you.
Do you know how much you have currently unspent by chance?
So we are required, and this is just an internal policy. We have changed this before. I believe we're required to keep $500,000 in that fund. So we are over $500,000. I don't have it off the top of my head, but we're trying to spend down to that minimum limit. And I really should know this. I think we might have lowered it in the past few years, so it might not be at the full $500,000, but we're always trying to keep it as low as possible. So we're spending it down.
Okay.
We also do owe the interest that is made on that money back to HUD, which we don't like to send the money back. We like to keep it in our community. So it's always something we're watching out for.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for Sarah? No? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you. Our 650 presenters code. Come on down. You're the next department in the hot seat.
Evening, everyone. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to explain the department and what we're doing this year. Building and code, I know a lot of it's focused on the code enforcement side of things, and that's certainly what gets the most attention, but the department also has the building construction component to it, which plays a large part in places that have anywhere from small to significant amounts of investment, including 200 Court Street, Town and Country, Saratoga Heights. The three of those alone probably account for about $90 million of investment in the city of Binghamton. And it's our department that oversees their work, performs the inspections to make sure it's in compliance with New York State code, not just structural and architectural design, but fire safety and energy conservation, which is a big part of New York State's push this year. The code enforcement side continues to try to prevent buildings from falling into disrepair and preserving the housing stock for the city of Binghamton, as well as keeping up with some quality of life issues that pop up from time to time. We are fully staffed with 6 full-time inspectors. We have 3 building inspectors, some of them specializing in different trades, and at a budget of it's about $800,000 this year. Historically, the CDGB funds have represented about 50% of the payroll services expense for our department, but as of late, the increasing costs of wages and the stagnant level of revenue from CDGB has reduced that to less than a third of our expenses. Just looking at the numbers, the focus, the lion's share of enforcement that took place over the last year had a strong core in the LMI neighborhoods, namely the Front Street corridor near Winding Way, the North Thorpe Mather Street areas, and then a pretty big hotspot over by Baxter Lake Miles off of Glenwood. We also had a significant amount of enforcement on the south side around Ben Franklin, between Ben Franklin and the Tompkins Street Bridge, and then again around Plaza 5 and a little bit east of that around the Mary Street, South Washington Street corridor. So we try to keep those places afloat, keep the bottom from falling out, make sure that the properties are being maintained so that they provide safe housing. And when they don't, unfortunately, we find them unsafe or unfit for habitation, and some of those properties roll over into the vacant property list, which is also within our department. Keeping track of all the vacant properties, collecting the annual fee for those, and trying to encourage owners to put some money back into them or sell them off so that the next investor can have an opportunity to bring these back onto back into our housing stock.
Chris,
John.
is there a vacant property officer dedicated just to?
Yeah, we do have Supervisor Jonathan Westgate, who's been doing this for 7 years now. He had formerly been in the planning department for the last 2 years. He's been in the building and code department.
So that's his sole responsibility is to inspect these properties? or-
No, nobody really has one sole responsibility. That's a good portion of what he does on any given day. But he is also responsible for providing supervision. He's been here for 11 years now, so he's providing training and supervision for new hires.
Okay, thank you.
John.
Hi, Chris.
Hi.
In previous years, you've expressed issues with retention
Mhm.
and recruitment.
Mhm.
How has that changed over the last year?
Well, it's really changed over the last 3 years, and we still have it's a unique profession, and we vet pretty well. We are doing double interviews on a lot of occasions, bringing people back in for a second interview, trying to find that perfect fit. And for whatever reason, we do have people who leave, and more often lately than before, it's just been for personal reasons, whereas in the past it had been salary driven. So we don't have a lot of applicants leaving for higher paying jobs, but we do have people who find it outside of their comfort zone and maybe not something that they're familiar enough with or getting enough satisfaction from. However, I will say that the salaries are in a place right now, and I can't say that, the correlation is the causation, but the applicants that we've been getting in the last 3 years have all been of a higher caliber than we've ever had in the past. I have not had an applicant that didn't have a bachelor's degree, whereas in the past it was extremely rare that we would get somebody with that level of education. So we're getting people coming in with a lot of IT experience, familiarity with computer programs, can learn the database software very quickly. They can express themselves very well in writing, verbally, and carry themselves in a very professional manner. So I think we've moved up a notch, and we're hoping that becomes visible, that the respect that they offer the constituents and the ability to have a detached, process-oriented approach to the work will give the public more confidence that we're fair, that we are paying attention to them, fulfilling their needs, and making sure that they're getting the services without any bias, that it's a level playing field and everyone's treated the same.
Good to hear. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else? No? Chris, I did want to say, last year I had mentioned a house on my street that was in rough shape. And your crew was over there 4 times over a 3-month span to end up 2025. And last month it's a New Jersey owned property. These trucks came in last month, like the day before the end of the month. I don't know if there was a court something going on, but it was a deadline. They came in there with a crew of 10 and just cleared all the garbage. I mean, it was 3 trailers full of garbage in the backyard.
Yeah.
And it was just gross. But they cleared it right out, and that property is cleaner right now than it has been since this firm took over. So I want to thank you guys for.
I hope
for
we
putting
played a role
pressure
on
on
that.
it.
We've tried to set some very clear guidelines in place, put some very clear processes in place so that there's no confusion about what to do and when to do it. And sometimes I think we've had some cases that lingered because inspectors were unsure which direction to take it, and we've done our best to really tighten that up and make sure that there, in no uncertain terms, there are absolute strict deadlines for everything, that you respond right away, you provide notification as soon as possible, and if compliance isn't met by that day, it goes straight to court. No more kind of wishful thinking that if I just wait around a little longer, it'll fix itself.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they brought in crews, so it was
Wow.
fantastic. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yes, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Chris, can I ask you, the new code prosecutor that's come on board, has that helped your guys be more
Immensely.
effective?
Yeah,
So that
immensely.
you
Yeah,
are
she's,
open to, because for the people of Binghamton, your complaint section is probably the most important. And
our,
it's the one that we're most affected by as residents.
yeah.
So
And
has that made a difference?
it's made a huge difference. And it's not just a matter of the prosecution being very fair, but firm, being creative in the way that they approach these cases, taking full advantage of the law and its ability to exact the behavior that we're looking for. But it's also being very firm about how quickly things go up to court, and that we don't appear to be giving anybody any more leg room or any, additional time to make corrections. That, to be fair to everybody, everyone gets the same amount of time. And if compliance isn't achieved, goes straight to court, where our prosecutor's done an amazing job of making sure that that these people know just how serious the city of Binghamton takes their housing stock and the safety of the constituents.
Deborah.
Chris, I did think of something.
Yes.
Judge Perlella had made a recommendation that there might be a code court for veterans. Has that found its way to your office? Is that a possibility, an idea that we can plant this year that maybe can be implemented in the next couple of years?
I'm afraid I was not made aware of Judge Palella's statement or his desire to do so. So I don't really have any data about what that was to look like. So unfortunately, I don't have any information on a special housing court. Is this for veterans who are defendants?
Yes, because of income,
Right.
which many times is a hindrance or a possible barrier to tight timelines or compliance, and maybe the need to educate for other funding sources to bring them into compliance.
Yeah. Well, I will say this, although that hasn't taken place, and it's the first time I'm hearing of it, so I don't have much to elaborate on, but I will say that with regard to the amount of time that an individual is given to bring a property into compliance, and the necessity to bring that straight to court, I did express concerns about whether or not that was right and just, and the prosecutor had relayed to me that the judges are very fair, but they are the officials who are responsible for granting more time or any kinds of concessions. So we do have a really good set of judges in place right now. And as much as, I mentioned how much we try to keep things on a very tight timeline, by the time they get to court, if there are conditions that would warrant any kind of extension or concession, then the judges have been very good about giving those and allowing time to seek funding or make repairs, which I believe is probably the proper place for that to happen, rather than having a collection of staff members each making their own decisions independently. The decision to do that is coming from a very official place. And I think everybody feels more confident that when it comes from the judge, then it's right and just. Whereas if it came from our office, it might appear to be showing favoritism or leniency. And for those who are affected by the conditions, they want to know that everybody's being treated the same. That if there are concessions or waivers or variances, that those are granted by a higher level than the boots on the ground inspectors.
All right. Any other questions for Chris? No? All right, Chris, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thank you. Our 7:05, we are about 5 minutes running behind schedule, is planning. She's not here. And she's not here for housing, which is 7:20. We have 35 minutes to kill. Thank you for coming in. Very good. So she didn't even show up for work today. Yeah.
I will let y'all know that CARES was supposed to come in today after Southern Door Community Land Trust. I don't remember the full name.
Yeah.
But she's sick. She is going to come back on March 4th. So she,
Okay.
but Southern is supposed to be here.
Care. So we have about 34 minutes to, hopefully they come in before 7:45, but 7:45 was the time they were told. We have some time to kill.
I did print off the paper of all the questions that you guys had concerns of. If you want to look those over, make sure I have everything or add to your list.
Before we do that, I should have asked Chris, just to clarify, he said the three main projects that the department oversees is Saratoga,
200 Court, Saratoga, and Town and
Town and
Country.
Country.
Right now, all three of those have huge renovations going on,
Right.
over $96 million.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Have you driven by Town and Country lately? It's half torn to shreds, half. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Not in the last 20 years.
They were rough back then too.
Oh, yeah. 20 years ago, they were rough.
30 years ago they were.
So you drive by and like windows are all boarded up and bricks torn out in places, and they're doing work in sections. Half building will be half half a building will be
UV antenna.
hello. So half of the building you'll drive by and like the people. My God. You'll be driving by and half the building's windows will be all boarded up, and the other, oh my gosh. The other half will be like open, and you can tell there's still people in them, and it's like this floor over here, and then this floor down here, and then vacant in the middle, and this whole side is just completely torn out. And as the buildings go around, it's different buildings they're going to be working on until they do finish all the units. Yes, Deborah.
Sorry, thank you, Justin. One for Shannon regarding the southern door. maybe I read it wrong, but they own a building or two buildings. I believe it's 6 units, if memory recalls. Haven't looked back. Are they renting those? And if they are, what is the rental income from that? Can we add that to?
Yes, and
The
when he got
question.
done talking, because I don't have specifics on that either, I might have put some notes, I can check my binder. But you guys can also add that to your list. I did get your voicemail today.
Mhm.
And a lot of it cut out, so I don't know if you had lost service or something. So that was I actually have a sticky note, to tell
Sorry.
you that your voicemail cut out. But I knew that you were trying to add a question to tonight's questions. So yes, if you want to add that, you can go ahead and add that.
Can I also, the uniform thing that they filled out, it occurs to me that we don't ask them how much they want from our budget. Would that be something we might want to ask? When we're talking about their overall budget, ask about how much money they want from the CDBG. So we have it right here rather than flipping through. Is it something we can amend?
Maybe that's our first question, or we can amend for the rest of them. but
Yeah,
I think
that's
they
what I
all
mean.
got it now
Because
already, right?
we had talked about looking at it and doing some updates and stuff, and that might be a good one. How much are you asking for this year?
Did it already go out?
Yes,
Okay.
the two were already filled out, but that's definitely
Let's
something
add
you
that
can
to the
ask
minutes
them.
to add for
Yeah.
next year. Yeah, definitely. The more it can be in one spot, so we're not put this is on and up and over and try to go through multiple pages. Yeah, agreed. Oh, look at this. This is great. Hello. Yep. Well, the two people before you were no shows. We're ready whenever you are. If you want to wait for her to show up, that's fine too. You're still early. Yep. Mm-hmm. All right. So, um, the two recommendations to city council, were those made? Okay, good.
I got no response.
We have a member of city council in our audience. Not our ex officio, but do you know if our request for removal of the member who has not showed up in a year was received, and if Robert or who's third district, Kenya's district, are going to appoint people? Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you. It was received. It'll be on the next business meeting. It's not his district, so he didn't pay that close attention to it. Because he actually has members. Who's four? Who represents four? Oh, Chisula. Yeah, she's sick. She's not here. She texted me. I'm going to start wearing a mask again. In 2020, 2021, I wore that mask. I never got sick. Knock out that entire time. I was like, oh, this is great. I get sick all the time. And to not get sick, I was like, oh, and then I stopped wearing it. And I've been sick over and over and over again since then. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Why don't I just put my dog mask back on? That I should be wearing. I have this mask that has little outline of my dog's head on it over and over and over and over and over again. And I just don't wear it. I pay homage to my own dog and I don't wear it. We love this. We can get out of here faster. Okay. Yeah. Yep. I wonder. I remember being in high school, coming to these things and being like, look at these idiots up there. So now I'm sitting up here and I'm going, they're just going, look at those idiots. I am. He was totally waiting for it. He was dreading coming down those stairs for us, Chris, when he was walking in. And I complimented him this time because the last 3 years I've torn him. The last, how many years have we been at him about the same properties over and over and over again?
That would be correct.
Yeah. And this time they actually did something. Like they just did it.
Does anybody have any questions? He immediately turned his chair around to look at her. He was shocked that you were like,
Yeah, I didn't have to harp on Fayette Street.
Nothing. I mean,
Fayette
there are
Street's-
problems. Let me
yeah.
not say that, but the ones that immediately affect me for a change are not there. So I was like, wow.
Right.
Oh yeah. I miss the app. Remember the app where you could report things with the app, take a picture, do it. It was so nice. It worked so well. Yeah. And potholes and lights out and everything. Oh, it's a really cute app. I still have it on my phone. It just it never works for me anymore. If it still works, then maybe I don't know. Because I miss it. Let me see. Where?
Shannon, could you maybe find that out for us with the IT department if they still do have that and if it's currently being supported?
Yeah, I mean it's still there, whether it's supported or not. Where the heck? We're here.
Deb, before I forget, the last meeting, I gave out the, what is that paper called again? Yes, the disclosure statement. Did you sign it? Do you have it with you? Can you give it to me? Thanks.
It was wonderful. Oh, of course, something that's good. Mm-hmm. Yep. Because I don't think you could see those from up there. That's what she just said. I was like, I don't think from the top row you could see that there were chairs there. I guess they sort of still update the app. I mean, there's that closure of 333 Clinton Street from February 5th is on here.
Is there a court case pending or has it been decided already?
But it's still there, it just dies.
Not worth the risk. Yeah, the liability if you got away. What's the app called?
City of Binghamton. I think so. I loved it. They knew where there were potholes, where there was stuff. Tom Scanlon didn't need to do anything while he was in office because as long as that app worked, I kept doing it. Then the app stopped working, and I was like, oh, now you got to call Tom. They still, once in a while, pick up the phone and call me. I get a Councilman McGregor. Yes. I'm not your councilman anymore, but what can I do for you? Then I make a call. Mhm. That's what happens when you have a home phone that has been in use since 1940 something. They just kept adding digits and area codes to the front of it, but the same. Yeah, there was 2 letters and then something, and it was 4629 or whatever. Oh, and because my home number is significant, like 723 hockey, and I'm such a hockey person, I'm never getting rid of it. No, it predated my parents, me. Yeah, it was my great great grandma Lizzie's phone number. I'm the fourth generation with it. She would be. Hello, welcome back. Thank you for coming in.
Yes, thank you.
And we're going to try to get you out of here quickly so you don't have to spend your entire evening with us.
Okay.
We just had some additional questions for you. Who would like to start? Who had questions that want answering? Oh, did you get the questions from us?
We did. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, then feel free to answer the questions.
Okay. So I'm gonna,
Remember, did I give all 8 of them or did I just give some examples of what they were asking?
you gave 8 questions.
Okay.
Okay.
There might be
That's-
one more. Deb, if you want to jump in at the end and add your question.
Maybe they'll answer your question before you ask it. We'll see.
Well, I will try. Okay. Thank you for bringing us in. So the first question, how will we get 100% of our funding if we don't get, I'm sorry, the CDBG funds? I think the first thing we'll answer is we will continue to not, I'm sorry. We will continue to go for, apply for grants. There are no other funding that we have like ascertained, I'm sorry for the yet. But
So we're
it's-
100% right now because you haven't secured anything yet. House.
yes,
Okay.
I don't know if that
That-
makes sense.
Yes, does. Okay.
And to clarify, correct me if I'm wrong, and that's for staffing, right?
Yeah.
Like for the housing services that we're providing, the rehabilitation costs, we are well funded for that. So
Okay.
the second question is, how will your program be affected if you only receive a portion of the 100% CBG funds? I think we will obviously titrate based on what we receive, whether that's a part-time position.
Right.
We already supplement with student interns from all over. We usually have interns eager to work with the organization. We have a partnership with Binghamton University, several departments within the university that are eager to support our initiatives. So, we'll do what we've been doing, which is supplement through volunteer work or student internship work. But ideally, we like to have another person on payroll to support and further elevate the services that we're offering.
Could we ask you to speak more closely into the microphone? You almost have to be swallowing it.
Okay. Well, I love a good karaoke microphone.
There you
so
go.
I
It's
will pull it
directional.
right up here so you can hear me. Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Did everyone hear that clearly in terms of explanation? Okay.
Deb, did you hear it? She's good.
All right, wonderful. Got my karaoke voice on now. All right. Any other questions or elaboration needed for that?
No.
Okay. Can you define how the term housing continuum and how it's applied? So when we're considering the housing continuum, I wanted to just kind of read, just to provide some service to some explanation of it. The continuum refers to a progression of care that helps people move from crisis to stability. When we're looking at a housing continuum, that can include outreach and assessment, emergency shelter, transitional housing, permanent housing, supportive housing, and then, the end goal for our program is to, if individuals would prefer or have an ambition to own a home, is to prepare them for that home ownership step, which is the final step. So when we're discussing or using the framework of a housing continuum, we're doing outreach and assessment to community members who may fall along that continuum from anywhere from emergency shelter, transitional housing, to the goal is permanent housing, right? And so the more properties we secure, the more educational outreach services we can provide. Our goal is that final step, which is number 4, permanent housing, and that can include staying in one of our apartments to infinity, or making the next step to buy their own home, right? And that would obviously be based on what they desire. Any questions from that? Can you
No.
give me more details on the various stages within the continuum and how your counseling services are implemented at each stage? So I wouldn't call it counseling services, more so we're along the continuum of outreach and education and assessment. We're not a counseling program per se. We provide outreach and education through our ambassador program, and then individuals graduate to the home program. And so the idea is that whether they're in permanent housing at the time when they're in the ambassador program or they're in transitional housing, the idea is to provide them with education and information and resources as to how they can access resources in the community, to secure housing, to secure quality housing. And that's the main point we want to stress: quality, affordable housing, which we know is a shortage in Broome County, particularly in the city of Binghamton, right? And so that continuum includes, again, the foundational premise of that is education, outreach, and assessment. That primary stage, that first stage. How do your clients find you? How do you classify them and their needs? Question number 5. So we do an extensive amount of outreach. Hadra is phenomenal at doing outreach and developing relationships. Those part of the agencies that we are currently partnered with, such as the CARES program, NAACP, Binghamton University. Hadra was just given an NAACP award 2 years ago representing the organization because of her relationships that she's built with other nonprofit orgs, as well as within our partnership organizations. Cdac, which is a financial management program ran by, I forget, Phil Nelson.
Yes.
It's is he a nonprofit? I think he is a nonprofit, and his whole goal is to increase financial literacy with individuals across the region here. So the development of relationships is critical and crucial for our organization in building credibility for them to then enter into services with us, whether it's starting with the ambassador program, and typically we'll start with the ambassador program, or just attending one of our events. We have cafes where, again, it's about creating an environment where folks can meet other community providers. We feed them, we provide some education, and it's less formal, but it's also an outreach tool to get individuals to sign up for the ambassador program. So there's a lot of outreach done beforehand. Social media is another platform. Our board members are another important, crucial element to outreach because they are all planted within the city of Binghamton in various organizations, including in housing programs, Southern Tier AIDS program. Myself, I'm at the university. We have a retiree who's a former accountant. So our board members are also instrumental in finding clients. Our clients will find us or we find them more so. And so we classify them, we don't like to classify anyone, but in terms of identifying their needs, we explain what the program does in terms of education outreach and an availability of housing based on what we currently have that's not currently online, but will be online in the short upcoming years. So we ask them where they're at in terms of housing. And we obviously are going to get the lower socioeconomic folks that fall in that lower socioeconomic bracket that are in substandard housing or they're at risk of going through being unhoused or have been unhoused. So I would say that's probably the demographic that we typically are working with, are individuals already struggling to retain housing due to a fixed income or elevated rental cost. Individuals that have struggled with mental health needs, perhaps as well, disabilities, right? And we know there's a shortage of safe housing for individuals with disabilities as well as individuals who are older, so older adults as well. There's a huge need for that across economic brackets. So I would say that is how we assess their needs. Do you help your clients understand their basic principles of tenant responsibilities and home ownership and how to be good neighbors? I have a little concern with the assumption that they're not already good neighbors, because how do we know that they're not good neighbors, right? And so the assumption is that individuals that come to us seeking quality, affordable housing, want what all of us want is a decent quality of life, right? Where we live, we want to be safe, we want to be respected. And so we've not had that as a topic, but stewardship, in terms of how to take care of home, if there's concerns with the safety of the home, who can you reach and contact? We're not following people around or policing them about how they live in their communities. That is not our responsibility. Our responsibility is to provide them with education on how to retain quality, affordable housing. Good tenants, I think, again, the assumption is that they're coming to us, we're teaching them principles around owning a home eventually and taking care of the home that they have. So I think that comes with it. Any other questions regarding that or need to elaborate? How are your staff or representatives trained? Hadra. Hadra is currently a staff of one herself. And that's why we need funding to increase the capacity of services that we can offer in this county. Hadra developed a curriculum in 2019 for the ambassador program. That's a step lock program. So once they complete the ambassador program, which is about 6 weeks, and historically there has been a stipend tied to completion of that program, which it motivates people to come, particularly if they have childcare issues. We want to help them. We want to remove any barriers from them completing the program. Hadra will train them by shadowing. Typically, the curriculum is already established, so review of that. And in terms of credentials, qualifications would be individuals interested in housing advocacy, right? And so that might be someone with a 2-year degree to a 4-year degree, or someone with 20 years of experience advocating for houses. We don't want to put a limit on their education or their experience. We're more interested in having people who are passionate about the work. So we'll screen them on a regular basis, based on those qualifications that we need, which is experience, interest. Can they, follow directions? Are they comfortable with public speaking? Are they good with outreach? Are they good with social media for outreach and marketing and advertising? What is your tracking mechanism for their services? What are the qualifications? Your tracking mechanism for their service. I'm not clear on that question. What is your tracking mechanism for their services? If anyone wants to provide any clarification on that one. What is your tracking mechanism for their services? What are the qualifications?
I think what we mean by that is, I'm over here.
Oh,
Hi.
sorry.
I think what we mean by that is every agency that we fund has to give us a report. That is a federal report. And
Okay.
it usually includes how many clients have been served, what did you do, that kind of thing.
Right.
So that kind of mechanism is something that, if funded, you will have to look into. That's what we mean by that
A
question.
tracking mechanism. Okay.
Yes.
Absolutely. So
How many
reporting.
clients, how many staffers you have, those kinds of things are the
Right.
absolute essential for us to know, and how you're using our funds.
So it's no different than what we do right now with our other funders, that is tracking and creating reports and meeting those deliverables that are expected at the end of the year or quarterly. So that obviously we'll make sure that person, that candidate that we're able to hire has those skills. Again, Hadra is a staff of one. The CLT is a staff of one right now, and she's been doing that for the past 6 years now. So we'll ensure that that person is qualified to meet those requirements, administrative task, right? Do you work collaboratively with other local agencies and provide similar services? We work with Cdac again, who again, their mission is to promote financial literacy across socioeconomic statuses. We work really closely with Binghamton University through the NINI grant, the Center for Civic Engagement, a couple of academic departments, the NAACP, and the CARES program, which has been a really strong partner with the Southern New York Community Land Trust, in that these are oftentimes parents of students in the inner city school district who struggle with the same issues we're talking about, which is housing security. And so Hadra has been a volunteer in that program, as well as myself in the past. And so those are really close partnerships that we have. Those parents have come out to our picnics that we've had. We did a cleanup, a community cleanup of one of our properties. We had more CARES volunteers, and we did have board members show up for that. So we do have very active partnerships with these organizations here that have been involved in supporting.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for coming back.
Sure.
So I gotta say, I'm a little embarrassed. You've explained the ambassador a couple of times.
Mhm.
I'm not grasping it.
Oh, sure.
Could
Yeah.
you simplify it for me, dumb it down for me?
Do you mind if
I'm
I?
sorry, maybe other people have.
No, that's fine. Do
grasped
you mind if we read it, a little explanation?
No,
Okay.
no, go, please.
So under our.
And I'm sorry.
Okay, so the ambassador program, the goal or objectives is education and empowerment. It launched in 2019. It's an 8-week program which educates participants in the current and historical housing injustices, the ins and outs of community land trust, I've been a part of it as well, and there's education around that the public health department comes in and talks about lead poisoning. We've had, I'm trying to think of the other partners we've had come in. But the objective is to bring in guest speakers. Was it code enforcement? It might be the legal society. So individuals connected to organizations that specialize in advocacy work or education work or anything around owning a home or being in an apartment or the infrastructure of a home.
Okay, so essentially like a housing boot camp, no matter where
There you
where
go.
you are, what your needs are.
Yep.
You bring in all sorts of resources,
Right.
and you're saying, if you've got this problem, here's this person.
Yes.
You go here. You've got this problem, you go here. And you
Right.
just expose them to all sorts of resources.
All sorts of resources
And
and
then they become an
education.
ambassador. right?
Yes, when they complete the program, they graduate as ambassadors and then they move to the home program. The
Okay.
home program is a newer add-on.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And so the ambassador program has incentives for them to come, not only because they're getting knowledge, but because people have lives and they can't just,
Yeah.
childcare and everything like that. And so that it helps them along the way so that they retain in the program.
Correct.
And helps them succeed there to graduate to the home program.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
so I understand. I'm there. All
Good.
right, let's go forward from
good.
there. Now with the home program.
So they are also, let me just also add, they work as cohort too. So they move together through this 8-week series. Let's see, the home program. Or did I put it up here? There
Yes.
it goes. Okay. So the home program started in 2024 and it stands for, the acronym is Historically Oppressed Marginalized Empowerment Program. It's also an 8-week series centered on housing counseling, financial empowerment, financial literacy, with a focus around identity, aiming to move folks along the housing continuum. At the end of the series, participants can become a HUD certified counselor with exam fees covered by the program.
Oh, okay.
So it is
What-
counseling in terms of housing counseling, right?
Okay, so what, I understand that it's a more expansive, right? You're graduating from the program and into home. Am I right that it's focused more on financial literacy and stuff like that? Is that when Cdac is involved?
Yes.
Okay, so Cdac comes into the home program. Okay.
Right. So
and-
how to
and
do a
so-
budget if they were interested in buying a home at some point, what might that look like? What resources are out there? And I believe the goal also has been to introduce, first-time home buyer information, how can one reach eligibility to
Right.
to apply for a first-time home buyer program?
Maybe this is a silly question. Why not a 16-week class then? Why is it differentiated between the ambassador program and a home program?
I don't think we have looked at that. So maybe we can kind of think through, that as far as
I'm certainly not. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just trying to wrap my head around what makes them different,
I think the thing
so different
is,
to justify two programs.
well, everybody, they don't make it, well, they don't
Time
make it.
commitment, probably.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's about, once they're done the ambassador program, then we can shift the need to the people that are left, right?
Yeah.
And then, I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah, you allow that, you can focus on the people who remain interested and committed and coming
yes,
back.
yes.
Okay.
Can I just give my take and then you can tell me if this is what it is? You're helping people at various stages in their housing or unhoused stature in the getting them through the ambassador, from like a insecure household to permanent housing of some nature, whether it's an apartment or one of your units or whatever. So you've got them through from the rough times through to some stability.
Now,
And then the home program, once they've been in that stability for a bit, then they can go and begin talking the next step, a better apartment, a house or whatever, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why it's two separate.
Yeah.
Most people aren't ready to go from shelter to home ownership in 16 straight weeks.
I'm following now. Thank you.
You're welcome to join our board, by the way. You explained that beautifully, beautifully. Yeah. And I kind of looked at it as a step lock program. Like you can't do the home program without doing that ambassador level program. And we've had ambassadors graduate, and we have one ambassador now who's currently on our board. I think we've had a couple ambassadors. So that's been the also cool thing is the idea of giving back to the community is really important for the work that we're doing as well.
And so is there an expectation that they continue that work as an ambassador? They're going out and finding other people and helping other people?
yes,
Okay.
that is one of the requirements, not requirements, but it's one of the things that we would expect.
Are they, I know we're not using requirement. Is it expected that they bring in a certain number of people?
Well, as an ambassador, no, because, they're, I guess, worried about, they're not at this time. But every every human is different. So some people have if I were to use Asia, her experience and it would give her a certain amount of benefit to bring people in. But if I'm just a mother with, and I'm not, and I have kids and I don't have those opportunities, that's different. So I guess we just kind of, again, meet people where they're at.
Right.
Fair enough. Thank you. I don't mean to grill you. I didn't want you to do you a disservice by me
Right. Walking away.
not walking away and not understanding.
Thank you.
Appreciate the questions. Yes.
Deborah.
Yes, hi. Thank you ever so much for coming back and being with us this evening. The question I had, and again, it might have been a misunderstanding, but I wanted to loop back to one previous question before I get to mine. One of our other commissioners, I believe, brought this up in regards to rights and responsibilities, used to teach that Center City Weed and Seed, when it was in regards to tenants' rights and responsibilities, had a class for that. We also then had a class for landlords' rights and responsibilities, so that we could have great neighborhoods. So I think that's where that particular question came from. And that might be a new way of looking at it, because as the instructor of those programs, those classes were filled and we had to offer second ones. So that might be a new opportunity for you. My particular question was, and maybe I misinterpreted, but I believe you have a building, it's 4 or 6 units, and is there rental income from that? And are you putting that into your budget, or how is that being developed? I just wasn't sure. So if you could expand on that.
I will try. It's a 6-unit apartment building. We do not have rental. We do not have rental yet. Yes, it's under rehab. Once we do forgive me. once we do figure the budget for that, predominantly the money will go back into the program, so that we can continue to rent it. I don't know if that answers the question, but you might want to.
Yeah, it does. Thank you very much, because I wasn't understanding if, oh no, I almost met you downstairs there. If it was currently rented or it was under rehab, that's where the confusion was.
Yeah.
Because if it's under rehab, obviously, you're not going to be able to have that income, but that's something down. And do you have an estimated time with your rehab progress that you are undergoing currently?
It is for the end of the year.
And the property was acquired when the organization was created.
Yes.
So it's been under rehab for the last 3 years, I think.
Yes.
Or when I came on the board, they were just going through the process. So securing funding, which you know is a process, has been part of the delay in expediting the rehabilitation plan for the property.
I just had a couple things. For the 6 units, how do you plan on renting those and who's going to occupy them? And is it based on severe need or how's that going to work?
So the current thing is when we worked with the people that rented the building before, the current thing is they will have first access to the property. After that, and we have six units, not 6 units, 4 units also. So it's our 6-unit building and a 4-unit building. So the metric we'll use for that is yes, we'll look at the financial capabilities. I'm probably not saying the right word. And we will then use a system that Rebecca Rothmel actually had it. It's something that she had on other areas. It makes sure that we are looking at the not predominant, but primary
Household numbers.
yes, we're looking at all of those needs when we're looking at the application, and then we'll make arrangements as we move along. I'm sorry. Thank you.
The units, do they have different bedrooms in them? Are they for single people, families?
So we will, in the 6-unit apartment, it's 3, 4, no, 2, 4, and 3. So it's
2, 3,
6
and 4 bedroom?
Yes, I'm so sorry.
No, you are
But
fine.
yes, it goes up and then when we get to our second property, there are 4 units. Actually, it's 5 bedrooms. I'm sorry. It's 4 units that are predominantly for people that are a single people, and then upstairs there's a 3-bedroom apartment so that it could be a unit for that family. I don't.
So the downstairs could be like a common, like it would just
No,
be
it-
separate bedrooms, but then like a common
No,
area?
no, no, it's apartments.
Oh, they're all separate.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I just had a thing for anybody who does complete your home program or move on to home ownership or anything. Here at the City of Binghamton, through our funding, we also have the first time home buyer down
Yes.
payment and closing assistance grant
Mm-hmm.
that completely goes away after 5 years as long as they stay in the home.
Yes, I know.
So push anybody our way to fill out that application that would help them, you know,
Yes.
on their journey to that first time home buyers.
Thank you.
And might I also add to one of the visions for the program and its growth stages is to eventually hire a housing case manager. We know there's a high number of individuals in this county with mental illness. You know, they are entitled to the same quality housing that we all are. So we hope to be able to provide, you know, some level of housing support that would be part of that supportive housing component of that on that continuum that I mentioned earlier. Supportive housing would attach to some housing case management, which also goes back to responsibilities, is modeling and promoting that area of education around responsibilities for maintaining an apartment.
I'll tell you that one of our requirements are they have to have a home ownership academy course. So if you wanted to reach out to Metro, that's who a lot of our clients
Mhm.
go through. Maybe they can help you out or, you know, point you in the right direction on a home ownership counselor, you know, that might be able to work with you guys on getting them through that program.
I have a question again here.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
No, it's the acoustics in this
Yeah.
place. Can you tell us how you acquired the buildings? Did you have to raise funding? Were the properties donated? And do you plan to do more buying these kinds of opportunities and then using that in your programs?
So that is a wonderful question. So we garnered the first property with the help of the Jason Garner and other mention of his. So we garnished that property through that that. This was a house that was eligible. Yes, yes.
To outdated taxes.
You wanna,
His small grant program.
so it's through our outdated taxes and.
Okay, right.
Oh.
So this was a property that was abandoned by the owner, didn't pay taxes. And so we acquired it through, and I wasn't on the board at the time, but
Yeah.
but it was in essence somewhat gifted to us.
Carlson. Mike Decker
Mike Decker.
helped with the transfer from this. And we also received some money. I'm sorry. We also received some money through the Jason Garner's office, et cetera. And so that's our first property. Our second property, it is yes, it's lease to own. So we're as we are. Yes, I'm sorry. We are lease to own for that. As far as will we do this and bring in other properties, I think we do have to do that so that we can provide the housing that is continuum for like all people. So this. it would be continuum for all of them so that maybe I'm looking for a house. I'll be eligible. If I am looking for apartment or, and it'll just be a house. I'm sorry.
It's kind of late too. So to answer your question, the last property was a community member who's a supporter of the organization that bought the property with the agreement that the apartments would be leased and would kind of buy it back from her. And so that's how that property was acquired.
It sounds like the first property, the land bank acquires properties through Broome County when they go into foreclosure.
Yes.
So it sounds a
Foreclosure.
lot like that procedure that the county then, instead of giving it to the land bank, gave it to you
Gave it to
guys.
us,
And
correct.
I guess that raises another question. Do you work at all, or are you considering approaching the land bank? Because, they do some very upscale renovations, but as a person who was on their advisory committee, I was always telling them that you can do maybe a furnace and a roof and then give it to an owner. And for what you'd spend on one house, you can do 5 houses. So
Right.
that might be
Right.
something you'd
Another
look into.
resource.
Just a thought.
Definitely. No, I was just going to say I have messaged, not messaged. I have had a few yes, conversations with God, what is her name? I'm sorry. Yes. And so the one thing that we would do is kind of work together. So the land bank, the way they get not rid of, but when they get rid of some of their housing, they're out of the loop, right? Or they're out of the land bank is kind of out of I'm sorry. So what we will do is if we were to have if we were to get with the land bank, we would kind of, yes, we would work together to do the things that they're not able to do.
If I might, what it seems like you might be able to partner with them in the acquisition of properties and then the disposal of those properties. You would actually probably be helpful to them in filtering clients to them, because I think that they are a home ownership project and that's the only thing they do. The only thing that might be mitigated in that circumstance is the amount of renovations that they would do to a property that then you would turn over to your homeowner. But it's worth looking into. It's definitely worth, because the only way that they get a property, they don't get rid of them, they sell them to qualified buyers. And that seems to be where there might be
Right.
the connection.
Yeah.
So for what it's worth.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Seeing none, I thank you for coming in tonight and all
Thank you
those
so much.
positive answers. Thank you very much. It was very enlightening.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you. All right. So our other CARES is coming March 4th for those of you on your agenda. their representative is ill, as was, I can flip through my paperwork, as was planning and housing. Completed our agenda for today.
Just wait, hang on one second. Just so y'all know, the people that are scheduled for March 4th, I don't remember who it was. I think it was police, mayor, fire, and I don't remember who else. None of them have responded at all yet out of 2 emails. So the next meeting may not have any of those presenters either.
That's
So
great. I'll reach out to them if we need to. I'm not afraid to. Give me some emails. I'll start writing as the chair. Hi. All right. So with that said, let's do our final attendance here at 8:10. Start up with Deborah.
Deborah Hogan, Merrill appointee.
John Brunza, mayoral appointee.
Asia Ambler, District 1.
Mary Ann Callahan, mayoral appointee.
Michelle O'Loughlin, member at large.
Marilyn Austin, 6th District.
Jordan Trice, 5th District.
And I'm Justin McGregor, representing the 7th District, your chair. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Deborah, we have a second. Jordan, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Hearing none, unanimous carries. We are adjourned.
Oh, you.
I just love
I'm gonna
that.
hide that next time. Although you
did. So far back.
I wouldn't hide it there. I'd hide it in a better place than that. Somebody just call my name?
Yes.
I just remember the position.
Right at that time.
Okay. What are you doing for them? I'll be out there. Because Endicott doesn't get any funding from us, don't consider it funding, but I definitely want to double check on it. Say yes. So we just send me an email to remind me of the. Don't be it.
I am. What a day, what a day. No.